with 2023 coming to an end, it's kind of that time where I start reflecting on the images I've taken over the year. And I thought it might be a good idea to kind of show you guys my whole kind of macro library from when I first started macro up until now. So I've made these folders here. I've separated them by year, as you can see, and I believe I started macro in 2019, so I went through all my old photos. It's kind of hard to get my old photos because back then I wasn't very organized with files. Yeah, we'll have a flick through these. So yeah, this image, I remember this was taken on my Canon 100mm macro. I actually bought a macro lens pretty much when I started macro. I did do a little bit of experimentation. I got a 50mm with a extension tube, but I soon traded some of my camera gear in to get a lens to do macro with. As you can see, it's not a terrible image. The highlights are obviously really sharp and the face isn't in focus because this was taken, I remember it was taken in midday. You can imagine they don't really stay still in the middle of the day. That would be quite a nice shot if it was in focus, to be fair. Yeah, so some of these are edited and some of them are not, so all these are edited so far. Honestly, this one is quite nice. I haven't really seen a scene like this since 2019. And by the way, these are taken in my garden. These two, and this first one was taken in Stratford-upon-Avon, I think. These photos are, as you can see, if you zoom in, you can tell they're not great quality. I wasn't really making the most of my camera and the settings. This was my first ever jumping spider. As you can see, it's not in focus, it's blurry, the shutter speed was too slow, underexposed as well. This one's overexposed. I was really annoyed at this because it's the first time I've seen a jumping spider and I never knew they existed in my garden and stuff, so I was really excited, and that's kind of what fueled my macro passion. This is actually a better shot. It's kind of grainy, but it is in focus. Nice composition as well, decent colors, tiny bit underexposed maybe. Oh, this image here, there's a bird feeder, you know, like a bird bath, and my mum lifted it up and because she was like cleaning the garden, and then she noticed a massive kind of colony of ants kind of moving eggs around, so got some images of that. And then obviously put the bird bath back on top so they could chill. This one is actually still impressive to this day. Like, I haven't actually got an in-flight shot of a hoverfly or any bug as good as this since 2019, believe it or not. I think it's mainly because I don't go for these sort of shots. And this was actually quite an impressive shot as well because I remember the exact gear I used for this shot. I've actually got the lens here. Yeah, so I think I was using this old Olympus 50mm lens with a Canon kind of adapter onto it, and then the adapter went onto some extension tubes that went onto my Canon 1300D, which I was using at the time. And the focus distance with this is very close. The hoverfly was probably like right there, so I think I was using flash for this, so this was one of the first times I used flash, I believe. I just remembered this was actually with on-camera flash, and I was using a bit of paper, I think, to diffuse it. Or I might have just been using a flash. I can't remember. As you can see, I wasn't really using diffusion. I think, yeah, I must have been using on-camera flash still. I'm not sure about this one, to be honest. This one looks a bit more diffused, but maybe it's because I'm more magnified. I don't know, but this shot actually isn't too bad. Obviously, I'm seeing the full res shot. You're watching on YouTube, so it's a bit harder to see, but the quality isn't great when you zoom in, but far away, can't tell. Yeah, here's another one of those ant shots. I actually really like this composition. It's not bad. Obviously, the quality is pretty terrible, not gonna lie. And this one is edited. I think the last one I showed you wasn't. But yeah, I'm actually still impressed with that shot. This shot, on the other hand, yeah, I don't know what was going on here. It's extremely noisy, too much contrast, the white balance is off. The only good thing about it is the composition. I think I got the shot in focus. I spent a really long time getting this shot. I think I was like by my pond in my garden for like an hour maybe, just like chasing after these spiders because they're very skittish. Okay, now this is, I think, my very first image with my macro lens. It's the first one I remember taking anyway. Whenever I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's when I started macro, or when I got my macro lens. I really like the composition, but yeah, it's just not in focus really, and I think I shot this at 2.8, so barely anything was in focus. Okay, now this one is near the end of summer, so I think it was like maybe end of July, start of August. This was taken in Cornwall. I usually go on holiday there every year. Using natural light, this actually looks really nice. Like the highlights on the eye actually look diffused in a way. These are probably my favourite images. I've got a set of 3 of this dragonfly, and it's the first ever dragonfly I'd photographed. I've only photographed a handful since this day. I don't really see them that often, or get the chance to get close to them. This one is probably one of my favourite. It's a nice kind of aerial shot, showing the wings and the eyes and all the details. And then I got another one side profile. So this was actually my first ever focus stack. As you can see, it wasn't perfect. I missed kind of a frame there, but for my first attempt, it wasn't actually bad. And also the light looks really diffused here. I think it's because I was shooting in shade. It's quite a cloudy day. This was later on in the year, kind of, I think it was might have been September, possibly late August, I can't remember. I really like this composition and the colours and stuff. And it's probably one of my best images taken with natural light. And here's the same bumblebee from a different composition that I got. I was really into stylistic editing back then. Might have to do a bit more of it, to be honest, because looking back it does look really nice. And I used to get some leaf cutter bees come in the garden every now and then as well. This was one of my first images with flash and a diffusion panel. So I made my own diffusion panel out of paper and some like laminate material. I followed a tutorial on YouTube. I can't remember the video I watched, but if I can find it, I'll put it on screen now. Because I was shooting with flash, I noticed that I could use much higher apertures, so like I could use f8, f11. I got a bit addicted to getting really high magnification, high detailed shots. I think the mistake I made though is I was using really high apertures to the point where I was getting diffraction. So as you can see, the image is actually quite soft because I was using too high of an aperture. I think the key thing I'm seeing here is that I used to get nice compositions and you know, everything else was great. But the main problem was I was using too slow of a shutter speed, or I was underexposing the image or using the wrong aperture. Right, so this was with my Canon 1300D with the pop-up flash on the camera. Yeah, I think I was using flash to kind of get more detail because I was watching some videos at the time on how to get more detail with macro. As you can see, it is kind of sharp, but the main problem is the diffusion. The highlight on the eye is very triangular. Alright, so there's 2019 done. We're now going to move on to 2020. I remember this was quite a good year for macro. I started out the year by kind of photographing whatever I could find. So I remember obviously it was like the winter and the start of the year. Yeah, this one is focus stacked, I can tell. I remember I was playing around with focus stacking, editing in Lightroom as well. So yeah, I can tell it's focus stacked because of the imperfections here and kind of here. But honestly, without inspecting it that close, it's decent. I remember this year I was like, I really want to kind of improve on my photography. Started experimenting with focus stacking and other macro stuff. So yeah, photographing small things like this. Took the mistakes from last year in 2019 and improved on them. Not long after, it was the start of lockdown, so we'll have to kind of photograph whatever's in the garden again, like I did in 2019. This was like one of the first images. I think at this point I got a new camera. I got a Canon 80D because I wanted to kind of take my photography more seriously. Honestly, it didn't improve my images, and I soon found out that it's more about lighting and aperture when it comes to macro. So yeah, another image from the start of lockdown, which I still like to this day actually. I don't get many pictures of ants. Got this one here, nailed the focus. The lighting isn't actually that bad. It's pretty nice actually for using my homemade paper diffuser. Started to kind of improve on how to optimize my camera settings and stuff for macro. Did a bit more in the garden, so got like some hoverflies. Yeah, honestly, this is quite a scene. I haven't actually photographed much in my garden since lockdown, so I might have to do some more of that. And my garden's only tiny. It's literally like, I don't know how big it is, and I don't know how to measure it, but you can walk up and down it in like 10 seconds. So so like most of these images are actually taken in my garden, this one included. I remember I started kind of playing around with color. I got really obsessed with very kind of minimal images where it's just the bug and the background. This image here is actually a damselfly I was chasing around my garden, and it landed on this like bucket in my garden. That's what the white is, and the background was actually a slight tint of blue, and I kind of enhanced that in Photoshop and painted the color onto the background. I don't usually photograph dead bugs, but I really wanted to kind of play around with kind of focus stacking and depth of field and stuff. I managed to find this dead bee on the pavement when I was walking the dog, and I took it home, set it up in my bedroom, and I have one of those kind of cheap focus stacking things you put on your tripod, so those focus rails, so I used one of those and got this image here. I did do another one like a week later, I think, where I got a wasp and pinned it. Obviously I found it dead like I did with the bee, kind of walking the dog again. And this one, I remember the pin was here, so as you can see there's a lot of kind of Photoshop work I had to do there to hide that. And then later in the year I kind of started leaning towards this style. I think this was one of my images that won a competition. I can't remember what competition it was. I think it was the I should remember. So later in the year, around July, I went to Cornwall again on my usual kind of holiday. I remember I managed to get this shot here, this shot here, this one as well. Now this one's important because it was one that won my first ever macro competition. So at the time I was 17 and I entered this image into the Bug Awards competition on PhotoCrowd, and I happened to place first place with this image, and they sent me a copy of the image and some other stuff for winning the competition. That image is right behind me there. That's what they sent me. One of my best bumblebee images to this date, probably. I started to kind of experiment with focus stacking, and I still wasn't perfect at it. I think I was using Photoshop. I remember I spent hours on this because it was an absolute mess. Photoshop's not the best at focus stacking. But yeah, that's 2020. Let's move on to 2021. So in 2021, I actually decided to upgrade my setup. So I bought a Cygnus Tech diffuser, which I still use today, and I bought this for my current setup at the time, which was the Canon 80D and the Canon 100mm f2.8, and I also had a Yongnuo YN560 flash. So this was one of my first images I took with that setup. Yeah, I just wanted to test it out because obviously there wasn't really any bugs around apart from this woodlouse which I found in the garden. It's around January time, I think I bought it. I noticed the lighting was a lot better. I thought this might be a good year for macro. I actually didn't shoot as much in 2021. I kind of put down the camera a little bit. I only went out for a handful of shoots really in 2021. Most of them being in the garden or on holiday. This was one that got shortlisted into a competition, I think. It's quite a nice image. It's focus stacked of some sort. I think it was a sawfly larvae in my garden. I quite like this one as well. This one was taken in my garden. Quite like the editing and the lighting here. It's kind of a mixture of flash and natural light. I did kind of have a moment where I thought, am I good at macro? I remember taking this image, and at the time I was just like, I'm not good at macro anymore when I took this image. It's not a bad image, but it is a bit over processed and the lighting isn't great. But that was probably why I didn't shoot as much in 2021. But I did have some good images. I managed to get a jumping spider. I think this might actually be the first jumping spider I got since 2019, and it happened to be in my house on the glass in the back room. Obviously went to Cornwall again. Shot some nice images actually. I managed to get this cool scene here, and this was using a flash, so yeah, quite nice detail and lighting on the face this time, as you know, compared to the one I took in 2019. Also got quite a nice scene here with this crab spider kind of bigging himself up to kind of protect himself from the cinnabar moth, I think they're called. Or it might have been trying to eat him, I don't know. But either way, I didn't stick along to actually see what happened. I had to leave, so I did play around with colour a bit. I got some blue background cards and put them behind my subjects. Some more colour. Here's some more from my holiday. So this I think this might have been taken with natural light, if I remember. I found this dead dronefly in the sand dunes on holiday, and I thought might as well just try out some focus stacking on it. Yeah, I think this was with natural light. Doesn't look like it's using flash. But this was the year I actually switched to Zarine Stacker, so I remember this image using Zarine Stacker, and I found it a lot easier to stack. I still wasn't great at it, I was getting used to the software. This image I think was using Zarine, and yeah, I shot some kind of nice single shots as well. So I found this very interesting beetle thing. I forgot what they're called. And I also found some rubber flies in the sand dune as well. A bit nicer than the one I took in 2020. And yeah, that's about it for 2020. I did some more focus stacking, like big focus stacks. Just experimenting really. I wasn't trying too hard. But then 2020 came along and I started off quite early. I remember shooting in April. I usually start shooting a little bit later. I remember the start of the year, this was one of my first images. Yeah, I haven't really found many weevils, so I was quite happy to find a weevil. Found that same day, found quite a cool bee as well. So I usually find it hard to find bees, especially midday, like this was shot. So at the start of the 2022 macro season, I decided to kind of start a YouTube channel, which is what I'm doing now. But I actually didn't kind of start the channel until 2023. Because I don't know, I was kind of hesitant with making the videos and stuff, and I filmed me focus stacking this in my bedroom for a video, but I don't know why, but I just didn't like the image and the way the video was recorded, so I just decided to put the channel on hold for a little bit. But nonetheless, I did shoot some nice images this year, probably some of my favourite images I've shot. Yeah, some of my favourite I probably shot was on holiday. I went to Kefalonia for a week and I saw some bugs I've never seen. So like some pretty big jumping spiders. They look really cool. Crab spider. Never seen a praying mantis before. So that was pretty cool. Got a nice portrait there. This was actually focus stacked as well. Quite a lot of detail there. And forgot to mention halfway through the year I switched to Olympus. So for this whole Kefalonia holiday, I had pretty much just switched over to Olympus, and my first time using it, so this was another one from that holiday, and this reminds me of kind of my 2020 style. Yeah, I like that one. There's another one, like a nice portrait of a grasshopper from that holiday. Threaded wasp on a wall, which is pretty cool. I've never seen one of these before, so it's really exciting when you go to a new location or new part of the world and photograph bugs. But I also went Cornwall again. I got a really nice image with my new Olympus setup here. Managed to get a June robber fly eating a sulfur beetle. Yeah, I think this image got shortlisted into one of the competitions I entered that year. And I also managed to find some jumping spiders at home as well, some more jumping spiders. So this was on, I think it was like on the settee in my back room or something, or on a pillow. I always find them in my back room, and I found one in the garden as well. Yeah, because I remember when I first started macro, I could never find jumping spiders. I didn't even think they existed. I also started thinking about when I should go out to shoot, so I started going out a lot earlier in the morning. Yeah, you get nice kind of details in the morning, so you get nice dewdrops. It's also a lot easier to shoot bugs. Yeah, it's really hard to shoot bugs in midday when it's really hot. And I was able to get shots like this with damselflies covered in dew, which I'd never seen before. And I always wondered how people got those shots. You get them by going out really early in the morning and going to the right location. I was also able to get pictures of bumblebees. Yeah, they're extremely hard to photograph midday. And I managed to find one in the morning, just chilling there. I also went to the Stratford-upon-Avon butterfly farm. This one was taken without a flash. I also got a nice portrait as well. This was with my Canon setup before I switched. So I had to stack these kind of manually without using bracketing mode. Funnily enough, I actually didn't know bracketing mode existed on my Olympus camera for like this whole year. So all these shots here are pretty much manual stacks. Yeah. So I don't know why I didn't think to do some research, but yeah, like that one's a manual stack. This was actually one of my first images with my Olympus setup. Yeah, so is that one. Yeah, that leads us on to kind of 2023, where I discovered the focus bracketing mode. And a lot of these images you'll probably recognize from my YouTube videos. Usually when I do shoot now, I just film for a YouTube video. But yeah, some of the first images I took in the year, I remember this one here. This is a single shot. Again, I found more jumping spiders. That was kind of a goal. I really wanted to find more jumping spiders. Yeah, I started off the year kind of just getting a few spider shots. Nothing crazy. This was one of the first of the year actually. Focus stacked image of a spider. And talking of focus stacking, I also learned how to use the Zareen stacker properly. I learned some new techniques that saved me a lot of time and hassle. My first ever proper image using the bracketing mode was this here. I went in my garden and tested it out after I found out about it, and I got this image here and I was like, this is actually a cheat code. That was in the start of the year and I thought this is going to be a good year for macro if I can use that mode. And I got some more images. So here's a snipe fly I got soon after that previous shot. Soon after that, I filmed my first YouTube video to do with macro, and this is one of the images from that video. And here's some more here. If you haven't watched that video, just scroll down on my channel and go watch it if you're interested. And here's another one from that video. And this was like the first time I'd gone out in the morning and shot with bracketing mode, and like after that day I was like, okay, I've got to just do more of this. It's just way too easy. Yeah, I shot a lot more in the year. I'll show you some of my favorite images. So this was one I took not too long ago actually. It was in July. I went on holiday to I went on like a cruise around the Bahamas and bottom of America for a week, and managed to find one of these spiders, which is I didn't even know they were in the country, to be honest. I didn't do much research before I went, but they were everywhere, so didn't know they were that common. They look quite rare, but yeah, it's probably one of my favorite images. I just really like the background. It's got a nice gradient on it. It's nice kind of monotone color, and the red contrasts nicely on it. The lighting looks quite nice. Color contrast is good, and it's just a cool looking subject. Yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I also got a picture of a crab on that holiday as well, which I never really photographed a crab like this. That's quite cool. I also got this weird hornet mimicking fly. So it doesn't necessarily look like a hornet, but when it was flying, and if you see its side profile, it does look like it has a big kind of stinger. Yeah, I was scared of it, to be honest. I didn't know what it was when I was photographing it, but I got a really cool high image stack there. Also got a cool kind of dragonfly shot there, and I haven't really found many dragonflies prior to this shot, so I was quite happy with that. Managed to get some other cool shots as well. Like this one is quite unique. It's not usually what I go for. A big pile of caterpillars. Crab spider eating a bee with flies on top of it. And I also got a high image stack of a jumping spider. It's the first time I've ever got a high image stack of a jumping spider, so I was really excited about this. It took me ages. I remember it was on a bench in this little nature reserve I went to in Coventry, I think. And yeah, I was there for probably like 40 minutes just chasing this jumping spider around the bench. I got a few decent shots, and then I eventually got a focus stack, which is what I was kind of aiming to get on that day. I got some other nice shots in the middle of the year. You've probably already seen them because they're all on my YouTube videos if you've watched the channel before. So yeah, there's a common theme. I go out early in the morning, use bracketing mode, and get high image stacks. But yeah, that is 2023, and that's where I'm at now. Yeah, so that's all for today's video. Hopefully you found that quite interesting, looking at how I started macro and where I'm at now and that journey. Yeah, I hope to shoot a lot more this year. I hope to make a lot more videos for you guys. But yeah, hope you have a happy new year, and with all that said and done, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, share, comment, all that stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.